On today's video, we are going to be taking junky and broken items that I thrifted and picked up at a garage sale, and we are going to be flipping them into gorgeous garden inspired and some actual garden decor. Let's go ahead and get started. My name is Emily, and if you've been here before, welcome back. And if this is your first time here, welcome. I like to take junk that I thrift and I flip it for profit and for high-end decor. If that sounds interesting to you, go ahead, hit that like button, and subscribe to my channel. The first project is this large cutting board that I thrifted for $5. You can see it has some cracks in there, but that's just going to add some character to this piece. The first thing that I did was I removed this transfer. Can you believe that someone had actually put a transfer on here? I didn't recognize it, but I went ahead and I just removed it. It came off really easy with my little razor blade scraper. If y'all don't have one of those razor blade scrapers, you need to get one. It's probably one of my favorite and most useful tools that I use when I craft. So I took out my prep. It's called the prep from Rethunk Junk, and I cleaned my piece really good. This piece already had these feet on them. They're kind of plastic looking, which probably isn't the best thing, but I'm going to go ahead and paint them so you're not even going to be able to tell. One little tip of the day is I actually like to use napkin rings for feet. They work really good, napkin rings, or also little blocks, like little kid blocks. I pick those up all the time at thrift stores, and you can use them for little feet. Not just the ones with the ABCs, but just like little building blocks as well that come in all different kind of shapes and sizes. So I took out my DIY paint. This is a clay-based paint. It's called the Little Black Dress. It's our blackest black color, and I'm going to go ahead and just give the bottom a complete coat with the Little Black Dress color. Now, this project was inspired by a plate that I actually picked up at a thrift store. I thought it was really pretty, but it's just one little plate, and I thought, how can I recreate that look? So we are going to recreate the look of that plate onto this cutting board, which we're going to turn into a gorgeous riser. So now I am taking out one of DIY's newest colors. It's called Electrified. It's one of my favorite colors. It is just a really cool, modern, fresh green. I absolutely love this color, and I'm just going to give this, the top part of it, a coat of this green electrified color. Now, DIY paint is a clay-based paint, and it will be or can be reactivated if water gets on it. So you do have to seal this paint either with a top coat, or you have to seal it with a wax. So we are just going to give this one coat of paint. It covered very well with one coat of paint. This is a solid wood piece, and it just soaked that paint right up. After I painted it, I then let it cure. Actually, I let it cure for several days. And this kind of paint, you want to go ahead and let it cure at least overnight, or you can heat it with your heat gun. But you need to make sure that it's nice and cured before you put a top coat on. If your paint is not fully cured when you attempt to apply a top coat, your paint can actually be removed by the top coat. So you want to make sure that it's fully cured. We are now going to do some stamping on this piece. This is a really fun part, but this is step one in a several step process, but I think you're absolutely going to love how this project turns out. And we have several other projects that we're going to work on in this video. I think you're going to love those projects as well. Those will be for the garden, so you can learn how to pick up things at the thrift store, make them over into really cool, one-of-a-kind, and unique items for your garden or to sell for profit. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take this Shade and Song stamp set, and we are going to stamp it in a pattern that goes all around this piece. This is part one of this stamping that we're going to do, and y'all just wait and see what we're going to do. I think you're going to love it. Okay, so I am taking out these different branches, and I'm not just randomly placing them around, but I'm placing them around in a certain way so it gives a nice aesthetic appeal. So we're also going to be using the garden bouquet stamp set to achieve this look. I wanted some branches with some flowers, and then I wanted some larger bouquets, just like what was in that plate. Now the plate has different kind of flowers and different branches, but I think you're going to get the picture and get the hint of what we're going to do here in a second. So we're just putting some branches and then some bouquets. And right now, the stamps are a little bit lighter than they will be here in a minute. We're going to ink them up heavier on the second step. But the first step is just to get the layout of your design. You really can't mess this up. If you're recreating this, don't worry about messing up. You're not going to mess it up because really any design will do. You don't have to copy this design. Just do it however you want to. And the cool thing is you don't have to use these two stamps. If you already own other stamps, you can use the stamps you already have, or you can purchase these stamps and all the paints and products that you see on my video. I'll put them all in the description, so if you choose to purchase them, you can head to the description and you can purchase them right off of my website, and I will send them directly to you. Y'all, I absolutely love stamps. It's one of the things I don't use enough. They are so fun. They're so versatile. You can use them in so many ways. And I think they're underutilized. You know, we use a lot of the transfers, and those are really fun because you can get this really cool instant result. And, you know, I love transfers. I also love the molds. They're really cool too. But these stamps, y'all, they're something else. They're just really cool. So I'm just going around and around, and I'm making sure that the branches are actually going off of the board. I don't want anything floating, okay? I'm not going to just put a branch just floating. So if you're doing this, I think it's a good idea for your pieces to look more organic and to be kind of, some of it's going off of the board, so it's a more organic look than just, you know, something floating. It looks more natural, and I think it just looks more pleasing to the eye. So I'm adding some birds. I'm going to add 3 birds because I think things look good in odd numbers, or they look better in odd numbers. So we're going to add 3 birds to this piece. I have 4 more thrift flips after this one, so y'all stick around. You're not going to want to miss out on how you can flip your own garden decor to make your garden look beautiful for the spring and summertime. I'm now using Rethunk Junk Snowy Day. It's a very bright white color. Rethunk Junk is a resin paint. It's a furniture paint, all-in-one paint. It does not require a primer, and it does not require a top coat. No waxing, sanding, or anything like that required. So if you've never tried out Rethunk Junk and you're interested in that, you can check that out also on my website. It's www.jbowenandcompany.com. Okay, so this is the fun part, and this is one of the most fun things I like to do with stamps. And this is what I loved about that plate. I loved how the white popped against the green, so I thought we're going to recreate that in this piece. So we're just taking out some of this white paint. It only requires 1 coat, and I'm just basically filling in all of the flowers, just all over this piece. Now I'm about to speed this up, so you're not going to have to watch me do this whole thing in this speed. It's at double speed now, but I am about to speed this up, and I'm just going to paint all the birds, the flowers, and also the branches. So here we go. So this part right here, we're just going to paint the entire bouquet of those hydrangeas, and then all the little buds and the flowers, and then the other bouquet of flowers down there at the bottom. We're going to fill that in nice and good with the white paint, and then we are going to let it dry completely. Once it dries, we are going to go back with our stamps again, and we are going to stamp on top of this piece. So here I am, I'm painting the branches. You don't have to paint all the branches, just the area that didn't have the black ink. That's all you have to paint. After the white paint had completely dried, I then took out my ink pad again, and I'm going to ink up those same exact stamps, and I'm going to place them, or attempt to place them, exactly like the first stamp was placed. Now, if it's not exactly perfect, don't worry about it. You'll be okay. It'll work out. It's okay if it's a little bit off, especially on those bigger bouquets. It can give a little bit of an echo or a shadow on the other ones, but that's okay. That's just the charm of it. This is a handmade piece, and with handmade pieces, you're going to have a little bit of uniqueness. That's what I like to call it. Also, when I inked up these stamps this time, I pressed down harder on my ink pad just to have a more ink on the stamp so it would go on a little bit darker. Also, because some of the ink got on the outside, I just went ahead with a wet wipe and I just wiped it right off. It came right off. So I'm just going to repeat this step, and we're just going to go all around this entire piece until it's complete. Now, if this Electrify is not your color of choice, maybe you don't like brights, you can use any color. Apothecary would be really pretty, Prom Queen would be pretty, Weathered Wood, really any color that you wanted to use. This same look could be accomplished, and you can use any of the stamps. I do want to make a very special announcement. This is really exciting. We've been waiting on this for a long time, but Fusion has come out with a new chalk and limestone paint. It is called Alchemy by Fusion. The public release date is April 26th. I have all of this paint in my dining room right now. I have all these boxes of the new chalk-like limestone paint. Y'all are going to love this new product. It is going to bring all new colors to chalk paint. They're all brand new colors. Y'all are going to love it. I cannot wait to play around with these paints. And my next video will be introducing you to these new chalk-like paints by Fusion. Y'all come back to that next video because you are going to want to try out this new paint. The paints will be live and for sale for purchase on April 26th. So y'all need to check back to my website to be the first ones to get your hands on some of this paint. I purchased as much as I could, but there are limited numbers. I will be able to reorder, but I only have so much for now, but I do have quite a bit. Most of the stamps come with these extra sheets. They're basically cut out of your stamp. They're called masks. That's hard for me to say. A mask. Anyway, you're going to put them on top of the birds, because if you stamp the branch first without putting that mask on the bird, what would happen is you would see that bird print, I can't talk today, y'all. You would actually see that branch print on top of the bird, and then we put the bird stamp on top of it, you could see the other stamp as well. So we're going to take that mask, which is basically just a sheet of plastic that's the exact size of that bird, and we're going to stamp the branch first. That way the branch stamp will not be on the bird, and then we'll put the bird stamp on top of that bird, if that makes sense. I don't know about you, but painting and doing crafts is so relaxing to me. That's one of the main reasons that I like to do crafts, is just because it helps me relax and I can think about whatever I want to think about when I'm crafting, and I just really enjoy it. So why do you guys like to craft? Do you craft because you enjoy it and it's relaxing, or you like to make new projects, or it's just fun? Anyway, let me know in the comments why you like to paint and do crafts, and why do you like these kind of videos. Do you like to learn new things, or what's your motivation? Would love to talk to you in the comments. Let me know your thoughts, and I'm just so happy that you're here with me today. I really enjoy getting to know each of you. Now this larger branch is going to be a little bit more difficult. I was a little worried about it because it's much bigger size. It's a much bigger size stamp, but I managed to pull it off. I'm just going to stamp that branch, and then we're going to add it right on top. You just have to make sure that you line it all up. I try to line it up on the bigger, more obvious spots first, and then I'm going to remove it. Now this is the hard part because it can move a little bit, but I think for the most part it turns out, and I think y'all are going to like how this piece turns out. So what do y'all think so far of this tray? Are you enjoying this project, and do you think that you would do something like this as well? What color would you have painted the tray if it was, it's not a tray, but the cutting board, but now it's a riser? What color would you have painted that riser? What color do you think would look good? And you don't have to use the white. You could use two completely different colors too. I just like the contrast of the bright white with the green and the black. Now I'm just taking my wet wipe and I'm going around the edges just to distress it just a little bit. I end up just letting the ink dry really good. I make sure it's completely dry. If you want to be safe, you can hit it with a heat gun. I would just wait several hours and then just make sure, touch some of it and make sure with your finger that it's not coming off. I ended up putting a clear wax on top of it, but unfortunately, I must have not hit the record button, because when I went to turn it off, it actually turned on, and all I got was wiping the excess wax off. But now I'm doing the bottom side as well, and I'm just using the wax. You could also use Big Top or liquid patina as well. I ended up not adding any dark wax or aging wax. I thought that this project didn't need it, but what do you think? Do you think a little dark wax would have been good along the edges, or do you like it how I ended up leaving it as is? Y'all let me know what you think about this finished project, and if you like it, give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. In my last video, I showed y'all this haul that I picked up at a garage sale. I bought all of this stuff, everything that you see in this picture, including this cool retro bench, for $65, and we have been working our way through that pile of loot. We have 4 more projects, and these are all outdoor garden thrift flips, and I think you're going to enjoy them. After I brought all this stuff home, I left most of it outside with an intent to come back and work on these things. So the next project are these 2 little gnomes. I thought that they were super cute, but they had a couple little broken spots and they were all faded. Now, I have no idea if these little gnomes are old, vintage, new, or whatever. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. But we're going to make them into a really cute, whimsical garden decor. And I think you're really going to like how they turn out. I'm going to teach you several different techniques that you can use to make over either thrifted items that you find or items that you already have in your garden, just to give them a fresh new look, update them, and repair them if you need to. So I'm actually using just some spackling, and I'm telling y'all I cannot talk today. I'm just going to fill up these holes, and then I'm going to let it dry. Now, I think this is going to work. Maybe I should have used some kind of caulk or something like that. I don't know. If y'all have something better I should have used to fill up these holes, y'all let me know. But I think what will happen is after they dry, then I'm just going to rub the excess off. You can use a wet paper towel or sand it and you get the excess off. Then I'm going to paint it, and I think that the paint will seal it up. Now, I could be wrong, but this is the best I can do now. Now, like I said, I probably could have gone back with like a bathroom type caulking so that, if it got wet, it wouldn't mess up. I don't know if this is going to mess up, but if it does, I'm going to leave these in my garden, and if they do mess up, I'll just come back with some like bathroom caulk, some waterproof stuff like you could put in between tiles or in your bathroom. I don't think that would mess up. Or if y'all have any other ideas of what I could use to fill that up, y'all just let me know in the comments, because this is the first time I'm making something like this over. And y'all, I just had a thought. Literally, I was sitting here thinking, my parents always repair this garden stuff. And usually I'm just like, why don't they just throw that crap away? But they don't. They repair it. They're always repairing little statues and stuff like that. And, you know, now here I am. Okay, so that was just a little side story. Do y'all repair your stuff that's out in the garden? Do you fix it or do you just chunk it? Well, if you have a few broken things, here are a few little fun ideas on what you can do. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to give these gnomes a coat of black paint. This is Fusion Mineral Paint. It is our coal black. It's our blackest black of the paints. It's only called for one coat of paint. I didn't have to paint it but one coat. And I think it worked out, and it got it just a nice coverage, and then I let the paint completely dry. So this is one of my favorite techniques. It's kind of an unusual technique for a garden, but I think it's going to look really cool in my garden. I actually like to do things in my garden typically that are neutral so that all winter long I don't have to look at some bright thing because that will wear me out. I really like the flowers to be the bright things and then my other stuff to be a little bit more neutral. So that's what we're doing here. So I'm now taking out, this is gold, a gold metallic by Rethunk Junk. This is the first time I've ever tried it out. I just wanted to use it, wanted to see how the coverage was, and I wanted to see the color. So far, so good. I think if you wanted full coverage, you'd need at least 2 coats, but I'm not going to give it full coverage. I am going to put some on there and then I'm going to wipe it away. The good thing about Fusion Mineral Paint and the Rethunk Junk paint, as well as this gold metallic paint, is you can use it outdoors. So it's fade resistant, UV resistant. I just read that on this little jar of the gold paint, but you can leave Fusion Mineral Paint. You can paint stuff outside with Fusion Mineral Paint, leave it outside in the weather, and it should hold up. It's rated for the outdoor. Same with the Rethunk Junk. Now with the DIY paint, if you put the liquid patina on top of it and you make sure that you have good coverage, that is also for indoors and outdoors as well. So at first, for a long time, I didn't realize that it was good for indoors and outdoors, but you can in fact use it indoors and outdoors. I think that's really cool because it really opens up the possibilities of what you can use these paints for. I don't know if you noticed that bench in the first part of the video, but I'm going to make that over. I'm excited to make that over, and I'm having fun with these garden thrift flips. Are you guys into gardening or just thrift flipping? Do you like to plant plants or not? But I thought this would be kind of fun because, you know, a lot of creative people also like to have a garden or at least plant flowers, that kind of thing. So y'all let me know if you're into gardening or you're not. And I don't mean you have to be like having a whole garden like Farmer Brown or anything like that. I mean, do you like to plant pots with flowers or flower beds or not really at all? Anyway, just let me know. That's my little unofficial poll. These products have a built-in top coat, so no need to put any sealer on. And here is the final reveal. Y'all, aren't these little garden gnomes so cute? I'm so glad I was able to save them from the dump because they were probably going in the trash. I bought this for only $1, and now I think it's super cute. If I was going to sell it, because it is decent size, I'd probably sell it for about 20 bucks, something like that in my booth. I love how they're standing there with his arm around her. I think that's so adorable. Y'all give me a thumbs up if you like this project. And y'all let me know in the comments which one of these projects is your favorite and if you like these garden thrift flips. I hope you all had a happy Easter. Here are my kids, my 2 little kids, and they are off to a fun start and a fast start for their egg hunt. The next project is going to be a milk paint project. I'm going to be making over this really cool bucket. It's like a planter. I don't know if it's vintage or not. I couldn't really tell. I don't really think it is. I carry 2 different sizes of milk paint in multiple different colors. What you're going to do is you're going to pour your milk paint in a cup, and then you're going to pour water in an equal ratios is what it calls for. So 1 to 1 But I actually like to have a little less water than paint, but this time I didn't. It was 1-to-1, I believe. It makes about a half a Dixie cup of paint, and it goes a long way. So I decided to use this color. It's called Terrarium. I really wanted that color that was kind of like an old vintage chalkboard color, but it turned out a little bit different than that. And I don't know if it's because it's on top of this dark wood, but I'm just going to go ahead and give it a coat of this paint. I really like how it ends up turning out. It ends up being a really soft, kind of muted color, but it looks really nice. I'm just going to go round and round. Milk paint is very liquidy. It's almost like water. Oh, I forgot to tell you all this part. So what you're going to do is you're going to pour the water into the paint. A lot of people recommend using warm water. I don't know if that really makes a difference at all. I haven't noticed a difference. And then you're going to stir it up really good, and then you leave it for about 10-15 minutes, and then you come back and you stir it up again. And then after that, that's when you're going to start painting. When you're painting wood, you really want to paint with the grain of the wood. Otherwise, it's just a lot harder to get down in the groove. So try painting with the grain. That makes it a lot easier. Milk paint can be reactivated with water as well, so you do have to seal your piece. At this point, I decided I was going to hit it with a heat gun to try to get some of that chippiness and some of that chippy paint. But because this wood is so porous and I think it was dry, it soaked up that paint and it really wasn't giving me much of that chippiness. Also, I think the paint was kind of thin, so it wasn't crackling like it normally does. I'm now going back over it with a second coat so you can now see what it looks like when it has a second coat of this milk paint. I decided to pull out my Lazy Susan because this piece needed to be turned around, and if you don't have a Lazy Susan, you need to get one because it makes it much easier to do crafting projects. I wasn't having much luck on the chippiness, so I decided that I would just go ahead and distress this piece with a wet paper towel. I need some help here. Is this music annoying? If it's annoying, y'all let me know in the comments because I think it sounds okay, but sometimes people tell me they don't like the music. So should I leave the music out, add music? What do y'all think about music? Or should I just talk the whole time? Sometimes I think I talk too much. I ended up switching to a Clorox wet wipe because of the cleaner in the Clorox wet wipe. It was coming off much easier than with just a wet paper towel. Also, it'd be a good idea probably to spray your piece with just a mister bottle of water. I just didn't have mine handy at the time, but that would also be a good idea just to kind of soften up the milk paint. But I'm just going to do a little bit of light distressing here. I'm not going to go crazy or anything like that. But I think overall this little bucket turned out cute. It can be used indoors and outdoors. I ended up putting some liquid patina on this piece. I think a wax would be really pretty on this piece too. Like if you're just going to keep it inside, I think a dark wax would be pretty. But I ended up just doing some liquid patina. So if I wanted to keep this outside, I could. Or if I wanted to sell it and someone else wanted it, they could put it outside too. Or also if you had a plant in there and you were watering it and it got wet, it wouldn't mess up your milk paint. So you have to think about things like that depending on what the use of your item is. Here is the final reveal. I have it out on my back porch with some of those Real Touch tulips in it. I think it turned out really pretty and I love the color. Y'all let me know what you think of this project. Do you like the color of it and do you like what I did to this piece? I've been so busy with baseball and softball. Here's my daughter at bat. Run! Woo! Way to go! Okay, y'all, here is the next project. Y'all, this poor little guy. Y'all look at him. He looked pitiful. I think I paid $3 or $4 for him. Oh, yeah, I wanted to mention, too, I paid $2 for that planter bucket. This I found at a thrift store back in the wintertime. and I just put it in my stash and I never made it over. But I'm going to do the same thing with this spackling, and like I said before, I don't know if it was the right solution. Maybe I should have used caulking, but here I am. I'm just going to fill up all those holes. You wouldn't have to fill up those holes, but he looked pretty pitiful like that. He just needed to have a little bit of love and a little bit of attention, and he's going to look all better again. I thought he was really cute. He's a little raccoon. He's chubby. He's pretty good size, and he's pretty heavy. So we're just going to fill in those holes. That spackling, if you've never used it before, it starts out pink, and then when it dries, it's white. That's how you know when it's ready. This technique would definitely be fine if it was used indoors. I'm kind of questioning it using outdoors, but we'll see. We'll see if that paint actually seals it in. And, you know, it won't be long. I'll let you know. But I think to be on the safe side, if I were you, I would use some, like I said, some bathroom caulking, basically the waterproof kind. And let me know if you think that this is the wrong solution. So after I let it dry, I went back with that Clorox wet wipe because that's what I had handy. Just water would probably be fine, or a little bit of sandpaper. And then I'm just taking off the excess amount. It kind of makes a big fat mess right there when you take it off because it's going to get all over your paper, then it gets into your paint. But you know, that's a long story. But anyway, we're going to just wipe that all off. And then I'm going to take this color. It's called Soapstone. It is a gray, about as gray of a gray as you can get from Fusion Mineral Paint, but it's a really classy, pretty gray. I think it's a very pretty gray. Looks like wet concrete to me, but it's a really nice, classy color if you like gray. And what we're going to do is we are going to make this piece look like a piece of concrete, and we're going to bring this little guy back to life so he has a new life. And he's, you know, it looked like he'd had a pretty good life at someone else's house. He was just kind of crumbling and falling apart. But I love to save little things like this, and I think that at the end of this you're going to see that he's all new and fresh and looks good again. Now look, I like the age look and I think that looks good, but not on this piece. This piece he kind of looked like trash. He didn't look, it wasn't like concrete. It's kind of more like a, I don't know, white ceramic type material, and just kind of falling apart. But he's going to look all new again. So what you're going to do is you're just going to take a gray color. You can use any kind of gray color that you want. But if you're interested in Fusion Mineral Paint, I carry this color. But you're just going to paint your little guy gray, light gray, dark gray, really doesn't matter. Any gray will work. Even like a taupey color will work too. But we're just going to cover him in a coat of paint. It only took one coat of paint. And then we're just going to let him dry. And then we're going to go back and we are going to put a whitewash on top of him. If you were keeping yours underneath a porch or inside, a white wax would be fine. But because I'm going to put this outside in the garden, I don't think a wax would hold up. So we're going to make a wash. So all you do is you take some water and you take some paint and you mix it up. The more paint there is, the darker the color or more pigmented the color will be. So all you're going to do is put a little paint in there, a little water, mix it up, and then you're just going to make a nice little wash. You're just going to apply it to your piece, and then you're going to take a paper towel and just blot it back. Just dab it back. You just want your paint to get down in all those little nooks and crannies and crevices so it just shows up all that detail. If you're interested in purchasing any of the IOD products, Iron Orchid Designs, any of the DIY paint, Rethunk junk paint, or the Fusion Mineral Paint, you can purchase all of those. Plus, I also carry Whimsical decoupage paper as well as JRV decoupage papers too on my website. And you can check that out. I'll put a link to all these products in my description. They will be more generic like DIY paint. I'm not going to put the exact color paints, but I'll put the DIY paints, the Fusion Mineral Paints, the IOD products, and then you can just click on that link and it'll take you right to my website, and I will get those products out to you as soon as I can. I usually try to ship within 1 or 2 business days. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but that's basically how quick I try to ship everything out. I also offer free shipping over $100. Sorry about that. My throat's getting all messed up. But yeah, free shipping over $100. There's a code. You have to apply that code. It's on my website. You'll see it right when you get on my website. There's that code. right there for free shipping over $100. You have to put it in the code section when you're checking out. It'll say, there'll be a little place like on every other website that says add the code, and you'll see that there. Anyway, the final reveal is coming up. I love this little guy. He's out in my garden right now. Y'all wait and see how he turns out. Let me know what you think about this little raccoon. He's going to stay in my garden. I found the perfect place for him. I think he's going to make me smile, and all the people that walk by my garden, they can see it. You can see my garden from the street, which is a little bit unusual, but he's going to stay there and have a new forever home. The next project is a really quick project. This was a plant stand that I found at that garage sale. I purchased it for $1. It just looked faded and old. All I did is took out a can of Rust-Oleum gold paint that I already had in my stash, and I just gave it a good quick coat of paint, and that's all you do. It made it look a lot better. You can put a plant on it and just improved it. Looks like something you might find at Home Goods. You can use it indoors or outdoors, whichever way, but it really updates this plant stand. If y'all are in the mood for more thrift flips, y'all can check out my latest video. It is garden thrift flips, garden inspired thrift flips. These were actually for the garden. The other one was more garden inspired thrift flips. Y'all can check those out. That will be on the screen. You can choose that one. And thank you so much for spending your time here with me today. I really appreciate it, and I'll talk to you in the comments.